Hi guys, welcome to Tag Your It. Today we're going to talk about realignment. So what do you do when the things that you're used to doing no longer work? That could be in business, in your household, in relationships. I feel like that is realignment. And I myself am going through a process of realignment. And if I'm being honest, realignment is not comfortable. When you're used to doing things a certain way and seeing results, and now everything that you are used to doing is no longer working. So I think that is a direct sign from God that it's time to shift and do something else. As humans, a lot of us, including myself, are scared of shifting or pivoting because we don't know. We're scared of the unexpected. We're scared of, like I said, you have to have money in order to maintain your household, especially if you're a single mother, such as myself. Everything is on you. You make the wheels turn. You control the budget. You have to pay the bills, everything, So what do? I'm going through a transition right now that is very, very uncomfortable, if I'm being honest. And it seems like the harder that I try to hold on to what was, the harder things get. And what was is no longer working. So do I try harder? Do I grind harder? Do I hustle harder? Or do I release and let God will be done? Because His will is above our will. His ways are not our ways, as we already know. So I feel like when you're doing everything that you know how to do and nothing is working. And another caveat to that, if you're unfulfilled, if you're unfulfilled, you can't just move off of money or financial gain, because that can be draining too. And I feel like, especially when you're in a position of service, everybody still deserves quality service and for you to conduct your business with integrity. So if you're just moving strictly off of financial gain, that's not really right either. So you have to take a look, and re-examine your life. And I've had to take a hard look at my life, if I'm being honest. And it's very uncomfortable, again, if you're used to doing things a certain way and seeing results and seeing the fruits of your labor. And now it's like somebody pulled the rug from up under you. But in these times of uncertainty, what I've learned to lean on is God. Because one thing I know about God, He may not come when you want Him, but He's always on time. I know that sounds very cliche, but it's the truth. I can testify to that in my life. I've been in situations where I didn't know, how I was going to get funds to pay something that I had to pay at a certain given date, and miraculously the money shows up. Miraculously the phone call comes. So I think the biggest thing to learn in this season is faith. You can't have faith and then say you're going to put it in God's hands and then continue to worry and stress out. And even some of us use substances, for instance, to get us by, to take the edge off. None of that is going to be productive, and none of that is pleasing to God. So that's all things to consider and think about. Realignment is uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. Growth is uncomfortable, but it's necessary. And right now I feel like I feel like I have been spiritually attacked in every which way. I'm not going to lie, from my family situation to my finances to my career, even down to my love life, But I trust God. And like I said, when God subtracts things, it's not to hurt you. It's a process. You cannot cheat the process of life. If God cannot trust you, He cannot bless you. Let me say that again. If God cannot trust you, He cannot bless you. If He knows that, okay, if you can't steward $1,000 properly, how can I give you 10,000? Or if you can't steward 10,000 properly, how can I give you 100,000? He has to know that He can trust you, and trust is built off of having a relationship with Him, which with our higher power, you know. I'm not knocking anybody that doesn't believe in God, but you know, that's the only thing that I know to trust, because people will switch up in the blink of an eye. You know, people will change up, people that you never thought would change up, including your family and closest friends. But God is consistent. God will never change. So just hold on to his unchanging hand and know that this too shall pass. As long as you're putting forth effort, you know, pray about everything. And a lot of times, you know, we can get overwhelmed and jump the gun, and that leads us to make poor decisions when all we have to do is pause and pray. And for me, when I think about things in hindsight, the vision is so much clearer. So today I choose to trust God. You know, I'm not going to let fear control me, because he knows the way. We have, you know, vision that's in front of us. He has peripheral from our sides, our back, peripheral. He can see everything, you know. So trust God's process. You can't cheat the process in life. And no matter what, you know, if you're making poor decisions and poor choices, and he's constantly blessing you with things, then he, you know, how can he trust you to do the right thing? So, you know, I encourage somebody not to give up. You know, I know life gets hard. Lord knows I know. I'm not saying that to be facetious. I've experienced it time and time again. But what I do know, God is a faithful God. He's a faithful God. But a lot of times we're waiting on him to show up, and he's waiting on our behavior to change. He cannot bless us in the way that he wants to bless us as we continue to display the same bad habits, the same poor decisions, you know, the same patterns of overthinking and being anxious. You know, we have to give that to him. And I know that's easier said than done, but work on it. You know, take some time out of your day to just meditate and pray about whatever circumstance you're going through, because God is a way maker. He's a life changer. Trust him. You know, before you trust people and jobs and careers, all that stuff can be taken away, because the number one thing, God is the plug. Do you hear me? God is the plug. Your job is not the plug. Your career is not the plug. He's the plug. So when you trust him, money is cheap. Resources is cheap. He can snap his finger and change your situation overnight. But you have to believe that, and you have to trust him. And me, myself, you know, I'm an overthinker, overanalyzer naturally. So sometimes, you know, even though I have faith and I do have a relationship with God, I have to take a step back and pause and pray. When things become overwhelming and I feel like, oh, sometimes we just feel like we have to solve this. We have to figure it out. But it's not for us to figure it out. If you are doing the things, and as the young people say, got motion, doing what you need to do for yourself and your family, let God do the rest, because he will perform a miracle for you and your household. You know, he knows our needs. He knows what we need more than we know what we need. And his will be done, whether we like it or not. So with that, pause and pray. Don't let life overwhelm you. And just take time to meditate. And take one day at a time. Don't be an overthinker. Don't feel like you have to figure everything out. I hope this message helps somebody. And thank you so much for visiting my channel. If you feel this is helpful for you or anybody else, feel free to share the message, to like and subscribe. And thank you so much for listening. Have a blessed day.